Could you sort of tell us what's his position?
Oh, nasty, very nasty. Literally tore his ear off the side of his head. It was just hanging off by a thread there, and he was rushed to hospital to have obviously emergency surgery on it. Fortunately, they saved his ear and it's back on there. But he's going to be tender and out for. Well, they give him a sort of a 4-week window, but we'll have to wait and see how it knits. It's a real shame because he's a huge prospect for us. There's a real chance for him to play in a big game, and yeah, it's just one of those things.
How was he? Because it's quite traumatic.
Well, he was all right. He was more worried about what his girlfriend was going to think, which is always a worry, isn't it? But he said he didn't really feel a lot of pain, the adrenaline going, and I just felt it sort of flapping a little bit. To his credit, he held it and carried on the defensive line there, which, you know, what we expect. but no, taking it to extreme. He's all right. He's in today. He's a bit, you know, embarrassed by his bandage, but I think he's more thankful now that he saved his ear and he realises the seriousness of it. Really. And purely an accident in a tackle, and it's one of those things.
I was going to say, it's a strange injury in a tackle. No, just purely
just unlucky. He's just got it caught, obviously in the wrong position, and off his come. So, yeah, I suppose the youngsters is take heed and wear a scrum cap, yeah, things like that. Yeah.
And the Dragons, difficult sort of encounter. What are you going to do differently to sort of get a result on that?
Well, hopefully we'll do a lot better than we have the last few occasions we've been up there. You know, to their credit, they've done a job on us the last couple of years, whether it be in this competition or the LV. I was just you know, stating to the players that we're standing with the best defensive record in the competition at the moment, and you know, we're quite proud of that, and we do generally defend quite well, and to go up there this time of year, we've come a cropper. You know, I think they scored bonus points in the last 3 times they played us, so that's a target for us. We need to ensure we don't give away cheap points like we have done in some of the early games, Blues game aside. Stay in the game long enough for us to impose ourselves, and then, you know, try and culture some sort of performance and win out of it, which we nearly did at the end of last year's game, but we give ourselves too much to do. We give them a head start, and the thing with the Dragons, when they get their tails up, they're a very, very good side, you know, particularly at Rodney Parade, where they got the crowd behind them, and they seem to enjoy playing us up there.
Can you, because you've gone with all sorts of sides, but in particular there's been times when on paper you should absolutely wipe them off the face of the planet and you've ended up losing? You're
right, we have tried it all shapes, and unfortunately the game isn't played on paper, and you know, that showed last year. We took a very strong side up, and we come a cropper early on. You know, we did come back strong. There's too much to do. We've got a good squad. We've got good depth, Hamish. Fortunately, the World Cup this year has shown us that we can put a lot of trust in the squad. They are the guys that have got us up to where we are at the moment this year, and so we have no qualms in being able to bring players in and out, and that's fortunate this time of year because we've had it's our 3rd game in 12 days. So if you take the lock situation as well, where, you know, we've had Ian Evans, Ian Goff, Alan Wynne-Jones and James Good, and now James King out, and that's been tested. You know, we've been wanting to rotate our back row a little bit, but you know, unfortunately, you know, Jonathan and Ryan have had to step in there and play a little bit more in that department than we would have liked. So it takes its toll, but we'll pick what we feel is the right side this time of year to go up there and put a performance in, and it'll be based around the 23-man effort as well.
Can you just clarify on that then, what the injury situation is with anybody coming back, any fresh ones you picked up from New Year's Day?
We've got Ian Evans back in full training today, which is a real fillip. Most of the boys other than James have come through okay. There's a few bruised bodies there. We've got slight worry over Tommy Bowles' hamstring, but there's nothing that he hasn't played through in recent weeks. So, you know, Barry's come back to a bit of form and fitness at 15, so Richard Fussell is still a few weeks away. So it's a little bit much status quo for us, really. So it'll be about getting some boys some minutes and, you know, catapulting us into Europe the following week.
Just a quick Alan Wynne, anything new on him?
No, only thing to report on Alan Wynne is he came out of his boot last week and had a week of walking with some orthotics, and you know, that was a successful week, so it's a step in the right direction. Still can't give you any, you know, definitive prognosis other than that it was a good week, and you know, he should be at the right end of what we expect, which was, you know, probably still another 4 to 6 weeks away.
Okay, little one, Justin Bennell.
Yeah.
He called you obsessed with scrums, didn't use your wings enough. What was it?
Negative.
Negative.
Not done on purpose in pursuit of scrums.
Fair comment?
Oh, lucky one. It's very difficult for a coach, right? Straight away, come into a press conference, having lost a Welsh derby. It's a frustrating time. I've been there, it's difficult. You think everything's against you, everything's gone against you, you know. The set piece was under a lot of pressure, you know, we should have really put him to bed by half time. So it was a bit of frustration. I think, you know, John must have touched on it earlier in the week as well, which he tends to do. So, you know, he's just expressed himself in such a way that, you know, we are what we are. I think most people who watched the game and watched it back would agree that, you know, we probably deserve to win. I think our wings touched the ball nearly 10 times more than their wings. So, you know, we've been there. Like, when you've got a squad which has 2 full international backlines, like the Blues have at the moment, there's expectation on you, a lot of pressure on you, and you know, to not then score a try. And you know, we've got some young guys in there at the moment. You've got your Webbs, your Biggers, your Morgans, your Becks, your Isaacs, your Dirksons. You know, they're not as well known. Then, you know, it's the expectations for us that we had. You know, a couple of years ago, we had a lot of big names, a lot of expectation, and it's tough. So, no, he's shot one off, and that's his right. It's up to him. No comebacks.
Do you need to score more tries then?
Sorry?
Do you need to score more tries?
Yeah, we do. Oh no, we do. You know, yeah, we got the best defensive record in the comp. You know, we need to get the other end of the scoreboard up as well. You know, we bombed, you know, 2 or 3 good chances in the first half against the Blues there. You know, whereas we just need an extra pair of hands. Matthew Morgan skipped past, Tommy would have been in. You know, likewise down the left side, Shane. We had Justin Tippett and Jonathan Thomas there. You know, Nipper breaks through early on. You know, we have a chip through. They've got 3 or 4 clear opportunities to put them to bed, and we haven't. And to their credit, they hang in there, and we missed a couple of kicks then. So, you know, it's something we're working on. We're looking to be a little bit more clinical in those areas and take our chances. And you know, the good news is that we're getting the opportunities. You know, once we start taking them, then hopefully the scoreboard at the other end ticks up a little bit.
How does the squad react to comments like that? Do they read too much into the comments?
Which comments, mate?
The negativity comments that were coming out. Well,
I think you'll find that in our game and your game is different, and Joe Public's game, we tend not to look and read too much into whatever you guys do too much. Honestly, some players will read it, and quite honestly, it is what it is, isn't it? For us, you know, it's a daily thing. We've had a lot of things written and said about us, but we keep going on with our job. We're keeping in the top Welsh region in our competitions, and that's all we can do really.
The Scott Johnson news last week, does that have any effect on your season now he's going now in May?
I hope not, other than the boys really give him a great send-off, you know, by pulling together and making something out of particularly the Pro 12. You know, we're still not dead in Europe, but we've got a lot of work to do there. You know, clearly there was a hint of sadness there, but you know, John was quite within his right to make that decision, and you know, we'll all deal with it in our own way. We obviously all wish him well. I know the boys have already, but I'm sure they will now pull together. I know John will be getting for a great finish to the season, as will the rest of the coaching team to support him. So, no, I don't think it'll have any other effect than a galvanising one for the second half of the season.
So yeah, what's he added in 3 years? What has he added to the Ospreys in his 3 years?
He's added a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. You know, to be fair to him, he's very good with players one-on-one. He's very, very good. He commands a lot of respect from them, and to a man, they will tell you that he's brutally honest, and he gives them the feedback that they need. From a coaching point of view, he's helped to develop the coaching team. You know, myself, Jonathan, Steve Tanley, Philo Tiatia before he left, Griff Rees, Damien Corona. You know, we're a young coaching pool, and I think they all, to a man, agree that he's enhanced our coaching in one way or another. Some will have taken certain things, some others. And of course, Jono brings the enigmatic Jono effect, doesn't he? You know, he lightens the place up. I certainly swear a lot more than I did 3 years ago, I can tell you. So my wife tells me, but he adds a little bit of character and difference around the joint. So yeah, from that respect, he can miss.
Sean, are you interested in that job if it becomes vacant? If the Ospreys don't discontinue it?
I got a job, Mark, you know, and like I think Scott was brought in to do a specific job, and his title suggests that, you know, director of coaching, whether the board decides to continue that role or whether I'm old enough and experienced enough to continue that role with some of the younger coaches we've now got coming through, I don't know, but I've got a job, you know, a job title, and I've got another 2.5 years on my contract, you know, so, you know, I've been here, I'm part of the furniture market, I've been part of a lot of the success and some of the lows that we've had, so I know a lot about the place, and I'm just determined to add something to this region like I've always done, and fulfill some sort of role, so that's what I stand on that.
You've been here before, haven't you? Similar situation to 3 years ago when you were in Untitled. You know, what are the similarities you think between that and the 08-09 season where you took control for the year?
I think we've got we're clearly a bit further down the track in terms of our systems and structures, and not just John, but Andrew Hawes added a lot in that department in terms of we now have some definite processes and structures in place behind. There's been some developments in facilities, and that will be ongoing now. You know, we're a little bit clearer where we stand as an organisation that way. So, you know, there's perhaps a little bit more structure there than there was back then. There was a little bit of unknown. We were a little bit lost for a while until things settled down. So, you know, maybe the board will take some of those things. I'm sure they will take those things into account. But yeah, as I say, I've got a job title, and I'm happy to get on with it.
As you say, you alluded to the head coach and director of coaching are two different things.
Yeah, clearly, you know, and you know, if you came to watch our coaching week, then John only plays a small part of that, you know, the planning of sessions and organising the coaches and the players, and that is a lot of my job, you know, so you know, working with the senior group is something that John does, you know, to try and help develop some leaders here, you know, and I work with, you know, on a tactical basis in trying to ensure we get the performance on the weekend, and then he'll do more of the attacking side, I'll do more of the defending side. Jonathan and Steve complement that with their assisting roles. So, you know, we've got a good balance there now, and how we move that forward now, well, we'll have to see.
Somebody comes in to do John's role, would you know, John was obviously coming 3 years ago. Would you be happy with that scenario?
Well, it really depends on what the board want. As I say, I'm fulfilling a role at the moment. I think, I don't know if they would have re-signed me if they didn't want me to do a particular role for the next couple of years, and it would have to be the right guy in their eyes, wouldn't it? You know, to be able to work with this coaching team and hopefully carry on what John has done with us. So.
The two fly-outs both contributed to the win. Matthew Morgan, you want to start with Dan Bigger. Where do you see that sort of role now and that sort of?
They're both very young, they're still learning. Daniel is a little bit further down the line in some aspects of the game, but Matthew offers you that little bit of flair that, you know, there's a bit of magic that not a lot of players have, you know, and there's room for both of them, there is. But, you know, on the weekend, Matthew showed early on, you know, what he can bring. He breaks defences, and to be fair to him, he put some good kicks in as well. And perhaps at the end, it was a good decision just to bring Daniel on to calm things up and shore things up and see us through to the win. So it was quite pleasing from our point of view. And then Matthew in his last two starts has shown some good qualities. There's still, you know, some basic elements of his game that are raw, as there are with all young players, you know. His tackling, as he knows, his chasing up, some of his tackle contest work, some of his kicks, his restarts, his goal kicking percentage, things like that. But then, you know, he has the ability to break sides down as well. So it's about nurturing him and putting him in the right time at the moment. And we felt that the Blues game was a good game for him, and he'll get a lot of minutes again on Friday night.
So I mean, he starts on Friday night?
He might do.
Is that partly a response to the Scarlets game and the game plan, which didn't seem to be a ball in hand approach at the Scarlets?
Again, Hamish, I'm sure, well, I'm hopeful you don't watch the game in as much detail as we do, because it's our job. But when you look at the Scarlets game again, in detail as we do, we should have put that game to bed. We had opportunities to put the game to bed. So if you go to game plan and how we played and this, that and the other, I can't agree with you on that, because I know exactly what went on in that game, exactly. And but for a couple of errors and not putting them away, then you for example, you take out the Scarlets scored their try, you take that out of the game, and it becomes a different picture. So and that has nothing to do with Daniel Bigger or Matthew Morgan, nothing whatsoever. So there are a lot of things that contribute to it, and at the moment we see both of them on a bit of a path at the moment, and we've got a pretty good record in developing young players. So and I'm sure Matthew would agree that he's interested in us to make sure he comes through at the right time.
I mean, you're welcome to set me straight, but whether it's because of the conditions, whether John alluded afterwards that the underfoot conditions at Parker Scarlet, playing with a few issues there. So for whatever reason, a lot of the game plan from 10 revolved around kicking to the wings and that sort of game plan, less of the ball in hand. No, it did. And look, historically, take the 50-60 pointers out of the Liberty. These games are tight. These derby matches are. As it was on the weekend, the Scarlet Dragons game, and I'm sure that the two on the weekend will be really tight. So, it's you'll find that the Scarlets kicked the ball as much as we did in that game, Reece Priestland. You'll find that the Blues brought Dan Parks on at half time in that game. They kicked the ball as much as we did, as I say. Our wingers had the ball in their hands more than their wingers. So, they're taking 55-yard shots at goal, bringing Dan Parks on to drop the goal. We can't just be looking at one team here and one player. I'm not at all. But in a way, as well as anyone else, there's a romanticism in Wales and Welsh rugby, which the statistics may or may not apply to. But on that romantic scale, you've got two outside halves at different places in that spectrum. And
if you look at the way we balance them in terms of their minutes on the field, we probably satisfied both romanticism and pragmatism.
Sean, it's a new year, time for resolutions. What are your aims and goals this year personally, and also for the Ospreys itself?
Personally, to keep going to the gym. No, for us, it's to become more clinical. We're trying to play a bit of rugby. It was 39 minutes ball in play. It was great for the spectator, really. To see that first half. It was a fast game. There was a lot of ball in hand. There were some errors, so a resolution for us is to be a little bit more clinical, to take our chances, maintain a good fortress at the Liberty, aim for the best defensive record in the tournaments, because generally the best defences win the championships, and to keep developing young players in light of the news of the salary cap and the future for Welsh rugby. Keep developing young players to push them through to international rugby, as our history has shown you, and young coaches from within the region, because there needs to be now an evolution of young Welsh coaches pushing through for us to bring on these young Welsh players, because there is quite a good pool of them now coming through.
On that salary cap, any more news on Adam Jones, Hugh Bennett?
No, I think I think some of our board members are going away over Christmas, so I think some of the things will be resolved in one way or the other in the new year.
In terms of next season, with what's happening, how quickly would you want it resolved, or does it not matter to you?
Well, it's out of my control a little bit, so but like for everybody, the sooner things are resolved, the better, isn't it? So that people know. The less distractions for me in terms of the group, the better. Some of them took the news in some way, some in another. It's there. We've got to push on now, and I'm sure the board and the agents and the players will resolve that as quickly as possible.
Just in terms of the Dragons, are you warning the players that there's going to be a particular backlash? Because obviously, following on from that Scarlets game, which will hurt.
I don't think we need to. They're well aware. They played in those games that I've talked to about in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and they, it's not a nice place to go and get humiliated, beat, concede tries, not take chances. It's not. And that, to their credit and to their fans' credit, they have that there, to be fair to them. So that, now, you know, the players are well aware. We've just focused on this. It's a short turnaround, so we haven't had a lot of prep. So you know, it's just been really about putting things right, as I alluded to, on our front, being a little bit more clinical in what we do, so that hopefully we can you know, quell the crowd and their enthusiasm, because it's difficult. You know, we played London Irish last year and they were off the back of, what was it, 10 losses, and you know what you're going to face. Dealing with it is another thing. So I'm sure the players will be focused for that.
Final one for me, Sean. You're second table, you're leading Welsh region, as you alluded to there. Why do you think people keep knocking the Ospreys?
Well, I don't know. A team you love to hate. I don't know. I think is it our culture? Is it our culture to knock the team that's doing well? I don't know. Man United aren't particularly well liked, are they? You know. So I don't know. But you know, all you can do is keep working. It should spur you on to succeed. And I've said this many times, we've got a diligent group of players and coaches who work hard, they try to be innovative, they try to better themselves, and we try to bring young Welsh players through. What more do you want?